everybody. Good morning, Facebook. Good morning, YouTube. And good morning on Instagram. It is Thursday. It is 9:30 a.m. It is Cotton Cuts time. Thank you all so much for joining us today. I see folks checking in from all over. It is cold where some of you guys are. Holy cow. It is full on spring here in St. Louis. I think this is the spring that sticks. I was actually thinking this morning in St. Louis, you typically don't plant annual flowers until Mother's Day because there's usually one last freeze that might sneak in. But I'm hoping this year we are done and that we can now actually enjoy the spring. I see people. Oh, Linda is checking in from Prescott Valley. So Linda, I don't think I've ever mentioned this, but I actually grew up in Prescott, so right close to where you are. Let's see here. Martha actually has a video that we're going to be sharing with all of you guys in just a brief, quick moment. Okay, so we will start as we do every show with questions that have been submitted by you guys. Go to cottoncuts.com/live to submit your questions. These are on the table when I sit down. I have not seen them ahead of time. And so we will see where we go. Hello, Teresa Thurman. Okay, so Carla from Des Moines, Iowa asks, I've always pieced my quilts by machine, but I want to try hand piecing. What's the best way to get started? Okay, so Carla, I love this question. It's always one of those ones. I've always been a devout machine stitcher whenever I've made quilts. Whenever I do hand piecing and hand stitching, it's usually English paper piecing or something that is like a three-dimensional hand sewn closure type thing. I have actually never hand pieced a quilt top. So I'm going to crowdsource the answer to this question and ask if you guys have hand pieced a quilt top. What were the best resources you found? What were the best tools, tips, and techniques that you've used to be able to hand piece a quilt top together? I've known people that done it. It's super aspirational. I get the concept of hand piecing a quilt top, but I don't think I have. I would worry for me about the durability of something that is hand sewn versus something that is machine sewn. So Linda Wemple is saying to start small. I think that is the fantastic idea whenever you're trying anything new, is always start small. That way you can have that win, get that win under your belt and build confidence to be able to try something new. And I'm going to suggest, Carla, always my best piece of information is look for a YouTube video tutorial, or you could even type into Google, best way to start hand piecing a quilt top. All those YouTube videos are going to pop right to the top. And there's also, if you're a visual person, that's a fantastic resource. But there's tons of blog posts out there about this as well. And so I know that there's going to be advice you're going to be given on needles and thread and different ways in which to actually get it. So that way you get over my block, which is a lack of a feeling that it'll be less durable if I hand stitch it. So Carla, that's a great question. If you want to come back and show us your first project that you've hand stitched, we would love to see it. All right. Good morning, everybody checking in. Next question comes to us from Jane from Spokane, Washington. I've been hearing about low volume fabrics. What are they and how do you use them effectively? Okay. So low volume fabrics, I feel like that's the new phrase we're using to call kind of light neutrals and white on whites. So low volume fabrics are fabrics that almost read as a solid, if you will, and are closer to the white and light spectrum. You can always be gray, right? Gray would count as a low volume. So low volume would be just a very small print, very tone on tone, but to the lighter end of the spectrum. And so how do you use them effectively? So I was talking with our retreats director, Jason, actually a week or so ago, about how pretty a low volume quilt would be. So if you took all these whites on whites, grays on grays, like pink on pink, all these light low volume quilts and made actually a quilt top, you would not have a lot of contrast, but yet you would still be able to see that subtle variation in color. And depending on how you used it, it would make a very, very beautiful, very subtle quilt that could be used literally anywhere. Since it's low volume, it's not going to work to compete or contrast with any of the other fabrics that you might put it in a different setting. We would also consider using low volume fabrics in a situation where you wanted your eye to rest. So say, for example, you're using a print that's highly like big floral. It is very bright. It has a very, very big repeat. you would put a low volume fabric next to it to give your eye something to rest. It's when you're creating the art of a quilt, you can't put cafe next to cafe next to cafe next to cafe next to cafe. There needs to be some measure of difference in temperature and difference in tone, so that way your brain can actually see the fabrics instead of being visually assaulted as you're looking at it. And so whenever we're looking at prints and fabrics for here in the shop, we always want fabrics for your eye to rest. We don't want to put too many big prints next to each other. And so in our puzzle mystery quilts, you're going to see it in the reveal tomorrow. There's always going to be that kind of low volume, that neutral, that background that gives your eye something to rest, so you can actually see a design versus a visual assault of color and fabric. Now, mind you, I've made one of the quilts that's a visual assault of color. I did not take into consideration a low volume print or perhaps a background print to give your eye something to rest upon. And so it can happen. It's still going to be loved. It's still going to be used. It's just going to be not as pretty, not as loved by people looking at it as if you had had that intentional design choice. So Jane, hopefully that's helpful to you. I know there's a lot of modern designers that if you search for low volume, you're going to pull up a whole catalog. A lot of manufacturers put out basic collections that are specifically low volume. Back when I was first starting to sew, it was white. That was the choice. Like if you wanted low volume, it was white. And then they started printing white on top of the white fabric. And now there's all sorts of prints in this collection. So Jane, I would love to see what fabrics you want to use. Perhaps put it in the Cotton Cuts Fabric Facebook group and see what folks tell you. All right. That's it. So if you want a question for us for next week, go to cottoncuts.com/live. It'll be handed to me here and we will see where we go with it. I see everyone's given StreamYard your permission so we can see your name. And don't forget to stay to the end of our show. We have a fantastic giveaway for you guys today. There'll be a simple question. This is going to be a fun question. I want to see how creative you guys get with answering this question. And we'll give away one lucky gift card. One lucky person will receive a $25 gift card to our shop. Hello from Lake Helen, Florida, Angela. Hello, hello, hello. All right. So what is happening in the shop this week? I wanted to come back to last week's show because we're oftentimes like, yay, we've got this Earth Day challenge, and then we tell you when the finish is. But I wanted to bring us back to the Earth Day challenge we announced last week. So Earth Day was, I believe, yesterday, the 22nd, 2 days ago. And so we started our annual Earth Day challenge, which is taking snippets and bolt-in bags and creating projects, being able to be inspired by what the fabrics tell you and make something new. And so what I have here is I have a bunch of blocks and projects that our team has made using our snippets and using our bolt-in bags. So you can see how you can take something that feels kind of scrappish and make it into something beautiful. So here's an example of a PMQ bolt-in bag that was made by a member of our team. So you could take, it was made by Paula. So sorry. So I try to be like, hey guys, it was made by someone on our team, but Paula wants credit for this one. So this one was made by Paula, and she's one of our bolt-in bags from one of our puzzle mystery quilts. And so you could easily get a bag or two and make an entire quilt with this amazing design. This one I believe was made by me. And so again, this one was done with the PMQ bolt-in bag. You could make an entire quilt with this block and this design. I believe this one was made by Paula as well before she yells at me. Again, this one was made with the PMQ bag. And then this one, I don't know where this guy came from. This must have been, what was that? This was, okay, so evidently this was me too. All right, and so then I made this one as well. And so I used scraps that we had around the shop in one of our snippet bags. So we wanted to show you guys that, you know, you can take this disorder, you can take a bag like so, and depending on how you cut it, depending on how you piece it, you can make it into something beautiful. It doesn't necessarily have to be improv. I know a lot of people look at scraps and think scrappy has to be disorganized and it has to be, you know, out of sequence, or it has to be, you know, this kind of this abstract-y way. You can actually take these bags and cut them into uniform shapes and come up with something that's very, very beautiful. All right. Yes, Linda, it was green. That's why I didn't recognize it, because I made it. It was green, so I purged it from the memory banks. All right. Good morning, So Terry. So don't forget our Earth Day challenge. We have about 6 weeks to get those projects made. I know Savannah has been shipping out a ton of these bags. Thank you guys so much for helping us support that and helping us keep our trash out of landfills. That is definitely something we want to avoid, especially when we know it can be made into something as beautiful as these blocks and into the projects that you guys are going to be making. Jana remembers when I had to sew that green during the sew off. Yeah, it hurt. It actually hurt a lot, Jana. Okay. Big news. Tomorrow, 1 o'clock, Wild West big reveal. So all of our Clue 10s are getting ready to ship. You guys can't see it behind the camera, but we've got backing kits, we've got border kits, we've got Clue 10s. Everything is going out the door to you guys so you guys can get stitching it. 1 o'clock tomorrow, we will have our big reveal show. We are going to have a couple quilts here to show you in the shop. We have some surprises. We're doing a reveal just a little differently this year. And we're actually getting a ton of ambassadors to show you their designs. Some of our ambassadors work during the day and can't join us, so we've come up with a creative way for them to be able to participate as well. And as always, I'll be joined by Sheila, and she's actually in the United Kingdom. She's not in New Zealand, so she's going to be joining us and showing us one of her quilts. You are not going to want to miss that. And as we always do, about 10 minutes after the reveal, you guys are going to get emailed your finishing instructions. So you can start stitching and you can start sewing right away. You don't have to wait for your Clue 10s to arrive. You don't have to wait for your border kits to arrive. You can get sewing those right away. We want to make sure that you guys see the quilts and get them finished. We love finishing these quilts. We don't want you to keep these projects in boxes and in bins and in tubs on the shelf. That is not the purpose. That is not the intent. We want you to make a quilt you're going to love. I have seen the quilts coming into the shop this week. You guys are going to love this. This is a fantastic design. All right. And then now that we finished up Wild West, we get to start talking about the next one. Let's see. Give us a sneak peek of the goodness about to ship. So Michelle, I know that Paula has been taking tons of photos of all of the things that are shipping. So we have so many packages. We have to ship them over a couple of days. We can't just wait to ship them on Friday. So some things left yesterday. Some things are leaving today. Some things will leave tomorrow. I have no doubt there'll be pictures and videos, right, Paula? Paula is nodding. Paula, there will be pictures and videos. All right. Now that we've set Wild West, now it's time to start talking about our next one, Under the Sea. And so Under the Sea will launch on May 30th. Put this on your calendar, gang. Getting these fabrics is getting more and more challenging as the market dynamics are changing. And so we're getting to the point where we can place one order for fabrics, and then once it's sold out, it is going to be sold out. So I want you guys just to be paying attention to that. If there's a colorway you love, please, please, please don't wait. I hate saying no to people. I hate saying that we can't get what you want. But in this case, just there are things happening we can't control here at Cotton Cuts, and we want to make sure as many people can participate as possible. So that's why we tell you guys May 30th. We want to make sure that you guys get what you want and can make a quilt you're going to love. And so if you participated in Wild West as well as Floral States of America, you guys are going to get early access on the 29th. Be sure to mark your calendars, check your email for the special link and all the good stuff. Platinum. I am so impressed with this Platinum program. You guys are loving this, the ability to choose your own cotton cuts. So each month we give you a sneak peek of the Java, the Chroma, the Modern Maker, and the Classic, and you guys tell us which one you want us to ship you. This is an idea my husband had. He just was like, threw this off the cuff, and our team was able to put it together and make it work. And I love how much you guys love this. So if you're interested in that, definitely reach out to us. If you're a current member of one of those programs and this is interesting for you to switch into, send us an email and our team will get you all set up on that as well. Platinum it's working really well. We love it so far. I think this is our first month of Platinum. Yes, this is our first month or second month. April is our first month of Platinum, and you guys loved it. Melissa Fieldhouse is making sure to everyone go and thumbs up our video. Thank you, Melissa. You're always the best cheerleader. Fantastic. All right. Don't forget our cuddle books. These little guys, this little stinker is this month's book, and it's got the little crinkle in its little stinker tail. Don't forget our cuddle books. If you are that person that always gets asked, hey, I've got a baby, can I get a quick gift? Those cuddle books are the easiest, most fantastic way to go. They're fantastic little gifts. They're little reminders of just something that you can make that's quilted without actually committing to a full quilt. All right. On the retreats front. So Jason and I are working on the retreats, and we heard you guys. We got a lot of requests from people asking about a commuter option, right? So you live close to Sonoma, you live close to New Orleans, but you don't need a hotel stay. You want to be able to drive back and forth. And so for those folks, we have put our heads together and we've come up with a new commuter option for our retreats. And so we looked at our current capacity. We have just a couple spots available for commuters. And so you'll have to reach out to us. Our team is going to be prepared to answer all those questions. But ultimately what we're going to do is we're going to take the lodging out of the equation and still be able to get you guys everything else that a normal retreat goer would get, but without the lodging. You'll still get to participate in all the excursions. You'll still get the swag bag. You'll still get the PMQ. You'll still get access to the Juicy Juice if you're going to New Orleans. but we're gonna offer a special pricing for people that are not going to be staying overnight with us. But you can sew until midnight and then go home and then come back the next morning. That is on you. So reach out to our team and we'll give you all the pricing. But like I said, spots are very limited on the retreats. I think last I looked, I think New Orleans only has like 5-ish, and Sonoma maybe has 8-ish spots. So if you are interested in that, please, please, please reach out as soon as possible to secure your spot. All right. What we have next is a special treat for us. So I know that we just finished Floral States of America, and we didn't plan to have a big reveal show, right? That was one of those programs that we were going along, and we were sewing the blocks with you guys, and they look something like these lovelies here. And we had some ambassadors that were participating along with us. And so we're seeing these finishes come along, and we have a special video that I'm going to share with everybody before we get to our main topic from Martha Tureen. Martha was our ambassador for Floral States. She put out a ton of videos on this. She was so adorable in everything that she created for us. And so she sent us over a video in place of a big reveal that she wanted to share as she shows her finished Floral States. So what? Just kidding. All right. So this is why you do these live televisions. So we're going to actually show the full video next week. Today is going to be an unboxing. So she'll be able to show you what came in the Floral States boxes. And so we're going to cut to that right now. Paul.
Hello, welcome back to the channel. This is Martha with Martha's Creative Life. Hi! What I have for you today is the last box of the Cotton Cuts Floral States of America. This is what the last 10 state 8-inch blocks came in today. So they actually came in this past week on Tuesday. So we're wrapping it up. So let's go ahead and open this up and see what's in here. So first off, they always have some type of special little gift in there 99.9% of the time. 2 Cotton Cuts pens. These are so great. I love them. And then just a little note from Cotton Cuts telling us that you are at the end of your Cotton Cuts adventure with the Floral States of America. Just, thanking you for their support, and their sometimes they have like a code in there for a discount and all that good stuff. So just a great little adventure card saying, hey, thanks for doing this. Cotton Cuts is so amazing. And then they also put in here the finishing kit. There was 2 layouts, on point layout, and that's the one that I'm doing, but I'm going to try to do it with a little bit of twist, hopefully. And the fabric is this beautiful blue. Hey, it matches my shirt. It's a beautiful color. So that's the finishing kit. There's a lot in there. So that's going to be so much fun putting together. So go ahead and moment of truth here. I've already opened up the 10 Floral States. So we have the last 10, Oklahoma, New Mexico, Montana, Wyoming, Utah, Idaho, Arizona, and then we also had Washington, and the last one, which one is my favorite with looking at all the pictures on it, is Alaska. Look at the northern lights. How pretty is that? So, in the essence of editing, Alaska. Isn't that pretty? It looks like the northern lights. I absolutely love this one. This one turned out so great. So these are 8-inch blocks. The next one that I'm working on is Washington. I'm going to go ahead and get these set up and get them taken care of here soon. With them, you also get the Cotton Cuts block of the month. That one is block number 325. And this one is super cute. This one is from February 2025. It's block 225. Look at that cute heart. I'm going to have to make this one for sure. So if you go over to cottoncuts.com, the Floral States of America, that program is ending. They do have the gnomes on there, from the previous. I think they're going to be going ahead and discontinuing that pretty soon. So go over there because they have a sale on those. So those were so much fun to make as well. So one of the things that's so great about Cotton Cuts, besides their exceptional customer service and just a wonderful company, is in your little kits here. let's open up Arizona. Let's just see what's in here. So of course you have the adorable cotton cut sticker that everybody loves. It comes in this nice hardy plastic, and I just take it and rip it down the side. And inside you have your information sheet about the state, which this one is Arizona. And Arizona is the Grand Canyon state. It's state number 48 out of 50. And on the back, it tells you all the information about Arizona. And it also gives you a quilt shop to visit. There's always a quilt shop to go visit in each of these states. Then you have your instruction sheet, front and back. And then last but not least, you have your fabrics. And the fabrics goes along with the flower of the state. So isn't that beautiful with the cactus? And the two colors that they picked were this royal blue and also the teal color that you saw in this one. Those two colors are in each block. So we've got this one. We've got a triangle, a square, and then some small triangles of the blue. That one's going to be so much fun to put together.
All right. Hi, guys. So thank you so much, Martha, for that video. So we actually had the folks that I was just narrating Martha's video to on Instagram. So we'll work on that for next time. But oh my gosh, Martha, thank you so much for your partnership in this program. That video was awesome. And I think Jana is right. Those state cards were a fun kind of part of the project that we put together. And also on the back, the statehood facts was a lot of fun to compile. I saw someone in our group this morning actually visited. We highlighted a different quilt shop in each state. And so she went and visited one of the quilt shops. She was visiting a friend. She had her state card. She went to that quilt shop. How fun. All right. So next week, we're going to show extended videos of reveals from not one, but two folks of their finished blocks, their finished actual quilts. Okay. So to get to today's topic. So why do people quilt? And so this is a question that whenever I tell people I'm a quilter, I always get that kind of funny look, like, you're a what? You do what? And I feel like there's a couple of kind of stereotypes that come to the top of the brain when people say, you know, why do you quilt? My friends think that quilting is for little old ladies sitting in a rocking chair in front of a fireplace, hand stitching, right? And we all know here in this circle of trust that that is absolutely not true. I think people think we're absolutely nuts that we cut fabric apart and then stitch it back together, right? That feels weird, like we're destroying something to put it back together in a new fashion. If we did this with any sort of art or eco materials, that would be seen as visionary, but the fact that we do with fabric is seen as a little weird. My first thing that I hear whenever I hear people talking about quilting, like on the radio or on television, is that it's a dying craft. There's no data to support quilting as a dying craft. It is actually growing. There are more people quilting now than there were 5 years ago. And so I think that's just one of those like stereotypes that just keeps propagating itself. And then the last one is that quilting is expensive, right? And so why would you quilt? It's expensive. Fabric is expensive. And so what we did is our team went through and we kind of took these stereotypes, but then we also broke them down as to why people quilt. And so what I want to do is I want to start by asking you guys, why do you quilt? Right? This is something we've asked folks in the shop, and we received some stories and some anecdotes from people as we were preparing for the show. But we want to ask, why do you guys quilt? When we came up with this, we came up with about four different reasons why people quilt. And so the first and the one that was the most popular in our responses, as well as in research that we did, was that quilting as therapy. People quilt because it's relaxing, right? It's something that you can do. You can reduce stress. You can reduce anxiety. I say this up until the point you have to get Jack the Ripper out and you have to seam rip. But in theory, quilting is a creative way to reduce stress and anxiety. There was a lot of talk in the shop about mindfulness and relaxation that comes with quilting. As you're quilting and you're creating and you're hearing that thumb of the sewing machine, it's very repetitive. And it improves your focus and your mental clarity, which is also important as we age, is to make sure that we're doing things that exercise different parts of our brain. We've had a lot of stories shared with us about how quilting is used as a distraction. And so if you're going through a major life crisis, we've heard stories about folks that have been diagnosed with late stage cancer, and they use quilting while they're going through their recovery, while they're going through their therapy, while they're going through their treatment, as a means of distracting themselves from the other things that are going on in their life. I know that people oftentimes have used this as a means to be supportive of someone else who's going through some traumatic time in their life. And it's a good de-stressor in a world where we have a lot of external stress in our life. Have you found quilting therapeutic? And I'm finding, let's see here. So Teresa says she suffers from depression. Quilting has helped me deal with that. And that is very true. I'm seeing it's my therapy. I learned a skill, can see my progress, and have something beautiful at the end. Julie McAllister, thank you for sharing. And Jana quilts because she wants to show appreciation to people who gave me their late mom's sewing machine. I like that. I like the showing appreciation for people who have done something for you. So quilting as a therapy and quilting as a means of relaxation is the number one response we got from folks in the shop. It's I've had a long day and I just want to go and do something for me. It's something that's a me thing, that's a me time activity. Now, on the opposite, the second reason that we heard most people quilt for is because of the community and because of the friendships. And so people quilt because quilting is such a tight-knit community. And I mean, I tell my friends I quilt and they think I am the only one that quilts, without realizing that there's this entire ecosphere that runs behind quilting as an art form, where there's guilds, there's clubs, there's informal circles, there's retreats, there's sew-ins. There's so many ways in which the community gathers around quilting. Even here at Cotton Cuts, right, we're doing our own retreats. We have our Cotton Cut Society, which is people that get together and sew once a month and just meet with friends. There's all sorts of borderless connections that happen with quilting as a community. Most of the folks here that participate in our weekly lives would never have met each other any other way except for the internet and except for quilting. Quilting is one of those transferable skills that once you start connecting with a quilter, you have a shared vocab, you have a shared language, and you have an immediate connection to them that you might not have with someone else who doesn't quilt. I'm reading some of your guys' fantastic suggestions. So Cheryl is saying it's her new stained glass. Yeah, stained glass is a fantastic. I've been in a stained glass hobby before, and this has definitely displaced that from my life. I love being able to make something and give it to someone. Melissa, we're going to come back to that. So it's a lot of ways to find community and friendships. And so I feel like we can't undersell that enough. In a world where we are so distanced from everyone with social media, we can actually use it for its flip side, and that's building community, building friends. I'm in a lot of quilting groups on Facebook of people who want to meet up with people. They don't have a means of finding quilters in their area, so they use social media to find quilters in their area, or they create virtual bees, or they create virtual guilds. And so it's a fantastic way to connect with people that you might not have a chance to connect with otherwise. I mean, if we remember before cell phones and before the internet, guys, you couldn't look up in the phone book quilters and be able to find a section of people for you to connect to. So this is a fantastic thing that's evolved with social media and technology. The third reason, and I've seen a couple of you put comments to this that we found, was quilting with a purpose. And so people quilt because they like to make things to give back. And so that is the part in all of us that's we are going to make more quilts than we will ever consume in our life. And so we use quilting as a means to give back something that is homemade, something that is loved, and something that we can share. And so it's a way to give back and leave a bigger legacy than just dollars and cents and wills and whatnot. So this is a good way. And I've seen some people saying, make blankets for my kids, then gifts, fundraisers, right? I know a lot of our members, Greta Sobel, I don't know if she's with us today, but she made her first puzzle mystery quilt, and she actually donated it to a school for an auction to raise money. And so this is a fantastic way in which you can create something bigger than just the fabric that you're stitching back together. We at Cotton Cuts, we've done Cotton Cuts Cares, which is a program that has gone through many, many iterations for us. I think we have some original heart builders that are watching us now, and we were able to donate over about 400 quilts to children all over the world that didn't have access to bedding and any sort of proper sleep type situations. We donated quilts, and I still get pictures today, like 6 years later, of children carrying our quilts as they transition from place to place. Oh, there's Greta. Hello, Greta. Right. The fourth main, and this is one of those things that I think it's undervalued in quilting because it's not seen as a true art form. And so for the fourth reason we found was quilting as a means of expressing creativity and as an art form. So we had, I talked about the quilt show that we had here in St. Louis a couple weeks ago. And as I was walking up and down the aisles with our employees, I was thinking, I am in an art museum. These are different sections of an art museum using different techniques to create quilts as a means of art. And so in that case, I think it's undervalued. And I mean, we've all had this experience, right? We make a quilt and we know that with the materials and with our cost of labor, we know it's valued at X, but for some reason, when we try to sell it, we cut it in half. We undervalue quilting as an art form, but yet a lot of people use it as a means of creative expression, as a means, and we're seeing it. People get frustrated with certain things that are going on in the world, and they use quilting as a means of expression, as a means of art form, as a pressure release valve, and they actually create very, very beautiful pieces of art. I feel like this is, in most senses, in most sense, we create quilts to be functional, but there are quilts that are made to just be displayed, that are meant to be viewed, that are meant to be appreciated. Let's see here. Linda Wemple is sharing a fantastic story. So she retired as a principal of a school, and the PTA made a quilt with all the kids' thumbprints. And so she loves wrapping herself with that because it feels like she's surrounded by her kids. All right. So those are the four main reasons that people quilt that we found. But I would love to hear it from you guys. Why do you quilt? Why do you keep coming back to this craft? Now, the one piece that when we were thinking about our list of why people quilt, is the cost. So I want to talk about this for a little bit, right? Quilting is inexpensive. We have consciously chosen an expensive craft. The price per yard is definitely going up. This is an expensive thing we have chosen to do. However, I am reminded of the alternatives, right? So it's so easy to think like this is expensive, but what are your alternatives, right? So a lot of hobbies and a lot of things people do to fill their time for many of these same reasons are super expensive, right? I don't know if you've bought a bandsaw recently for a woodworker, but those are pretty darn expensive. If you do stained glass, that's pretty darn expensive. If you go and, quilting as therapy and relaxation and a stress reducer, the cost of a counselor is expensive. And so when you're comparing it to the alternatives, it's actually not as expensive as it could be. And I feel like we as quilters get hung up on how expensive this craft is. But by doing this, we are saying no to something else that is also more expensive. And I remember Jack Nicklaus. So he's a huge Lakers fan. He's had courtside seats for forever. He pays a ton of money for it. He's like, well, I could spend my money here, or I could be like all the other actors in Hollywood that are spending the same amount of money on drugs, right? And so it's kind of a funny little story, but the similar situation is quilting is expensive, but so is really everything else. And so it's how you choose to spend it. And I feel like we as quilters in general need to let go of the fact that this is expensive and start embracing that it's something we find joy in, we appreciate, and we are actively choosing to engage in. And so let's see here. There's a whole bunch of other stuff on this list, but I feel like I'm going to ask you guys, like, I love the stories that you guys are sharing about why you quilt. Bobby is saying it's a creative outlet in her therapy. Martha, that's a fantastic point, is saying it's a sense of accomplishment when you get a quilt done. And I feel like that's something that we also undervalue is we get so stuck on the we finish something and then we always jump right to the next that sometimes we forget to appreciate what we've just accomplished. And once you finish that quilt and you gift it away, you almost just jump right to the next. And I feel like staying in that moment is also something that is super valuable as a means of appreciating your accomplishment. Let's see here. I'm going to scroll through some of the comments. Josie B is saying, I used to make jewelry, and one day just flipping through the internet, I was seeing some of the most beautiful quilts, and so I thought I would try it and fell in love. Josie, that's fantastic. So I love and appreciate that she saw it. She wasn't afraid of the first step, and she jumped right in, and now she's hooked. Angela Gordon says, a while back, I had a medical scare, and I decided to make a quilt for my children and their kids to remember me by, a quilt to wrap up and love. Oh, my goodness, Angela, that is... Sometimes, guys, like some of these things. Okay. Julie says her fabric isn't going to iron herself. So fair, right? Someone needs to iron your fabric stash. I feel like that's kind of a funny little ism we should put up in a meme. Deb Jean says it's her peacetime. Shirley says it's a great distraction. A creative outlet helps keep my 7-year-old brain working. Yes, I feel like that's something that, as we look at brain studies and brain over time, having the creative outlet as well as also having the math that's associated with quilting is very, very good for keeping your brain young. Okay, let me see. I'm going to check all of my notes. I know we had a shorter show today, guys, but the question that I want to ask everybody to help us here in the shop. So we have a lot of folks here in the shop that aren't quilters. They don't sew. They're crafters and they have creative outlets, but they're not quilters. So I would love it if you guys answered this question to be entered to win our $25 gift card. And so the question is, what is the most convincing thing you would tell someone to convince them to start quilting? Right? So we've all, something happened to us. We had some catalyst to us that got us to start quilting. What's the most compelling argument you would make to someone who's on the fence about starting to quilt if they should quilt or not? So find this question on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Instagram and answer it there. We'll pick one lucky winner to win a $25 gift card to the Cotton Cut shop. And I can't wait to see it. We're going to reward creativity on this one. We're a creative business. We support a creative community. What is the most creative and compelling argument you would make to our folks to get them to start quilting? All right, guys, I think that is it for us today. It's fairly short because we've got the big reveal happening tomorrow. So our team is in full-on reveal planning. We will be back next week. We're going to talk about Floral States, and we've got stuff coming up about the H&H show and stuff coming up about Mystery 5.0. So with that, I'm going to let everyone get back to your sewing and your lovely spring-ish days, and we will see you guys tomorrow. Have a great day. We will see you soon. Bye now. Thanks so much for watching our video. We have so much fun making these, and we hope that you were both delighted and inspired by what you just watched. This video was sponsored by Cotton Cuts. Cotton Cuts is your one stop for all the best fabric and thread memberships. Love fabric? We've got you covered. Love thread? We've got you covered. We get that no two quilters are cut from the same cloth, which is why our memberships are as unique as you. We also have the largest block of the month in the world. Over 4,000 detectives solve our puzzle mystery quilts every year, and you can join them. Simply go to cottoncuts.com to learn more about all the awesome and fun things that we're doing. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe to make sure you get all of our new fresh content every time it comes out. Thank you so much. Happy sewing enthusiasts, and we will see you soon. Bye now.